Can we see? Good evening and welcome to this Thursday night session on letting go. It was supposed to be a panel, but it is. Can you sit here? But the third person is not well, so good wishes for Michael. But we have Al here, and we especially invited her to share her thoughts on the art of letting go. It is, although it is spring, it feels like summer these days. So most of the people will be outside probably doing other things than listening to a lecture on letting go. But welcome to those who are here, welcome those on Zoom. And this is Al John. She's, well, I think she better introduces herself, but I will share what I know of her. She's a couple of months ago she started coming to one of our mini retreats, and she said, could we use this space for the philosophy club and also do some meditation with the people of the philosophy club? And of course we said, sure, most welcome. And since then I've come to know her a little better. Very dynamic, very person who thinks deeply, even though she's very young. And she has a background in filming and creative arts. But I think the rest she should share herself. My name is Rona Sweitz, and I have been meditating with the Brahma Kumaris for more than 30 plus years, studying, meditating, and I've been here in the meditation center about 8 years now, helping, coordinating the activities, studying, helping others, opening up to spirituality. That's my life, my passion, my aim. Background, I studied medicine and I worked as a physician in the Netherlands and in the Caribbean, the Dutch Caribbean. But I very quickly understood that real suffering of human beings, of people, is on one level physical, but on a deeper level, much more emotional, mental, and spiritual. So I very quickly started exploring that area, and at some stage it just became completely my life. So Elle, maybe you can share some things on yourself and some thoughts on letting go.
Hi, hello everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, so like Rona said, I'm Elle. My background is in film and acting. And so for a long time, I've been sort of the starving artist for a little bit. And I think one of the things that we go through is that we try to challenge that, and then we try to stop that, and we try to get out of that scarcity in a way. And I think the moment that I started meditating is when I realized that that was my blessing, that going through all of that, because in that's how I learn how to be an artist and how to make my art better through living better, through the adversity and through the scarcity. So I think subconsciously this is why I'm here and this is why you invited me here. Because the journey of letting go of that idea of what a life should look like or what a life should have for one to succeed, it was not only life-changing, is almost like it changes everything about your emotions, about your spirituality, about your body, and and it's been amazing. And I know I would never be where I am if it wasn't for meditation, and doing it every single day for now almost 4 years. In July will be 4 years. And so, yeah, I think that tells you a little bit about my background and what I do.
Yeah. Very nice you were mentioning this letting go of the ideas of what we think a successful life needs to look like, or a normal life or a good life needs to look like. And this is one area that I have been exploring for a long, long time, because a spiritual... I came to the Brahma Kumaris as an atheist. I did not believe in God, and I did not even come for a meditation course. I was looking for a course in public speaking. I was very shy. And I wanted to learn to have confidence to speak. But all those courses were extremely expensive, and I could not afford. And there was a course in positive thinking, and I thought maybe that could help. And it was free. That was the most important. But I didn't have to pay. And I thought, well, maybe that could help. And my friend convinced me, let's go. And one of the sisters from the Brahma Kumaris gave that course, and she was talking about thoughts and the power of our mind, the power to create thoughts. But one of the things that stood out very significantly for me is the amount of useless thoughts that we have, waste thinking. And so when I think of the power of letting go, is all this waste thoughts and waste ideas and waste beliefs that we hold about ourselves and about life, that is not beneficial for me, is not beneficial for anything. And many of these beliefs about self and about life are often limiting me, because I feel I have to be in a certain way, or I have to conform to certain things, or I have to be the way my parents raised me to be. And to let go of things that are almost like ingrained is not the job of the, the lazy, I think. But once you let go, it is so liberating. And all these waste thoughts, or much less waste thoughts, are then there. So I don't know what your thoughts are on letting go and
Yeah, you made me think of something really important that I think sometimes is hard to come to terms with, which is, I think those waste thoughts come because we're worried about something, because we care about something, which ultimately comes from a place of love and is love. Even if it's distorted love or weird love, it is still love. And so I think one of the things that you and the Brahma Kumaris put it in words that I haven't heard it before, even though you know it deep down, is that there are tools to make those waste thoughts go somewhere else without losing the worry. Because I think something that I learned really importantly is that I don't want to stop being worried about the thing that I'm constantly thinking about, because then something might happen, right? Or it can go away. But if the intellect is sharpened, and maybe, let's just say, for example, I'm worried that, I don't know, I'm going to fail this class. But then I have another book here that is about something completely different. But I go and I read, and I actually really do sharpen my intellect with that book or with this other idea. And in this case, I'm thinking about philosophy, of course, because that's what I love. And then so those waste thoughts, it's almost like it's energy that needs to be placed somewhere else, right? Without losing the worry. And I think what meditation taught me is that almost every time the thing that you're distracting yourself with will then help with the thing that you're worried about. And so I think the letting go really comes down to deviating the attention and being confident that deviating the attention doesn't mean that the thing will disappear, right? Or that the thing will go away, even though in physics we do learn that without the observer. But it will be there and will be taken care of. And in the new attention, it's not almost like you're not turning away, almost like you're adding a layer to it and adding something that will help. Because I learned from a lot of people, and I hear from a lot of people, especially because of, on my YouTube channel, I have a few conversations with people who are on the streets and homelessness and all of that. And I think when you are at that level of extreme, it's really hard to not think of waste thoughts, right? Or to find ways to not have the mind go, right? Because it's such a harsh life circumstances and things like that. And so I think meditation really taught me that it's, by taking the attention away doesn't mean that things are going to collapse. It just means that the mind is going to use the energy that is not
differently,
in a different way.
Yeah, because I don't think if there is a situation, addressing the situation, that is not necessarily waste thoughts. But waste thoughts would be like the repetitive thinking, or thoughts that don't lead anywhere, that don't bring a solution, or instead of continuously repeating what the problem is and is not right, using that energy to find a solution. And you can, like you said, if you distract your mind and your intellect, you might empower the intellect so that you can think creatively about the situation. Now, if someone doesn't have work or doesn't have if there is a certain life problem or life situation, me having waste thoughts about it just makes me tired and doesn't resolve anything and doesn't allow me to think creatively so that I can find another way or another angle to it. And whilst waste thinking actually makes us tired and blunts the intellect. And to let go of waste thinking also means I choose constructive thinking, or I choose to empower the intellect, either through meditation or through some wisdom or some book or some information that helps. But also, there is a story, an anecdote, if you allow me, a story of a man who is an atheist. In the story, is an atheist, and he falls off a cliff, and he's hanging on to some twigs. So he's dangling on the cliff and screaming, "Help, help, 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 help. Anybody there? Help, please help." But there's no one there. And he cries a few times longer, "Help, help," but there's no one there. So he thinks, well, there's no one there, let me cry out to God. Atheist. So he's like, "God, if you really exist, then you should help me now." And no answer. "God, really? You should do something, no? I will die soon." And after a long silence, God says, "Are you sure? You want me to help?" "Yes, yes, I will do anything you say," he says. "I will believe in you for the rest of my life." God says again, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yes." The voice from the ether, no? This is mythology. And he says, "Yes, I will do anything you say if you help me, if you save me, if you tell me what to do." So God says, okay, let go of the twigs. Let go of the twigs. He thinks about it and he says, isn't there anybody else? Sure, can't help me. But there's no one else, so he says, okay, let me do what this God says. So he let go one finger, two finger, three finger, the other fingers, and then he falls 2 meters and he's on the ground. And and I like this story because sometimes we are in such a limited mode of operating that we can't see the big picture. We can't, we're so, we're so holding on to things and holding on to certain ideas, holding on to certain situations, holding on to certain people because we feel we will die if it doesn't like that. But when you let go, you discover actually there's ground right here. And in this example, he can now play with the twigs. He can play with other things. He can walk away. He has many more options. But when he was holding on and having that limited perspective, he was in a panic mode. And so this letting go of waste thoughts or fixed beliefs, you discover that there may be much more and much broader. You know, sometimes we are in a relationship or in a job situation or whatever, some task, and you just feel it has to be in a certain way and it should be like this, and you can be frustrated when it is not like this. But after a while, and it doesn't work out, and you let go, and then you discover there are many other things that may be actually much nicer. So this art to let go of our limited beliefs also, and limited expectations or even demands is very helpful to see a bigger picture.
Yeah, I think what this story made me think of is that the new thing coming our way, because it's new and it's the unknown, right? And we're not really sure where it's going and we don't know enough about it. There's like a repelling of it, right? There's a fight towards it. And I wonder what if that is an emotional reaction to it, or if it's neurological, or if it's biological, or it's a predisposition that we have of a survival instinct to react that way. But I think what spirituality can do, and what this story is really telling you, is that thing that we might be fighting against, it might be the actual thing that we need. And so, but I don't know if this can be applicable for all things, because...
Not necessarily in every situation, but it can be one way.
Yeah, because I think letting go is really hard for someone that doesn't. I'm not saying that only meditation allows you to let go, but that opening of the mind that you were talking about, I think when you really are in really stressful situations, I don't know, it's just so hard to pinpoint a universal concept that, oh, this is it, that is gonna make you open up. Sometimes for me can be a child playing on the street, or maybe sometimes for you it can be the sun in your face, or it can be this talk that you hear right now, right? And so I think what's really interesting that we're getting into is, what is this opening of the mind, right? What is this of realizing that what's coming is limiting, right? The possibilities, you know.
Yeah, opening the mind, I meant see a bigger perspective. You want to say anything? Yeah?
Sure. Was the experience for both of you of letting go, is it one major experience, or is it a series of small experiences where you learn to let go in different situations, and then you find yourself having more broadly opened your perspective? I guess I'm wondering what to expect.
Yeah. I can give. Well, I'll give a simple example. Well, simple. I don't know if it is simple, but when I started meditation, I was introduced to vegetarianism. And this is now vegetarianism is popular, but 35 years ago it wasn't in the West. And I come from a family where that was not even an option in their perception of nutrition. Even for myself, to get used to that idea, it took me time. I traveled in India for 6 months, and that is where I understood, large part of the world population is vegetarian. That is the standard. And so when I started my spiritual journey, my meditation journey, I was introduced to the concept of non-violence and respect for all life, including animal life. And if I am loving peace, then I also love animals. That kind of idea began to grow on me. But I grew up in an environment that was not vegetarian. I lived with people who were not vegetarian. And food is such a big thing, an issue in our culture. So I got comments from from everyone all the time. And I had to let go of the expectation that they would actually think that I am doing a good thing, because they did not think I was doing a good thing. I had to let go of the desire to be loved and invited by all of them, because they stopped inviting me for because I couldn't have dinner with them, so I had to let go of my own expectations of them. And some things were little, but some situations were big. So this letting go was actually more of letting go of opinion of others, and letting go of opinion of society, and learning to be free to make choices that I believe are good for me. And I felt in that sense my perspective broadened when I was introduced to, in this case, vegetarian food. But there are other areas also. So many little things, but some are also big. It is not some are small, some are big. No, the idea that my parents would live forever and would always be with me. And then my father got ill. And you have to let go of that idea. And this was a bigger thing. But I feel in many situations, spirituality is not an in-the-moment thing. It is not there's a situation and now I'm meditating and it will be resolved. It is as if meditation and spirituality works on a deeper inner level and prepares you for a variety of situations that you can then handle differently. Instead of reacting or becoming confused or emotional, there is more clarity, there's more calm, there is a bigger vision of life. And then as the situation evolves, you learn how to deal with it, but you're coming from a space of inner fullness. So I think this letting go, or many things, they don't happen in the moment, but as if you grow resilience, you grow wisdom over time, a certain inner calm, meditation, and then you deal with situations differently than you used to do before. At least that is how my journey, I can, yeah.
Just to recap, your question was, what was the process of letting go?
And were it many little things or one big thing?
Or one big thing? I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but hearing Rana just made me think of this analogy, so I'm just gonna use it. And if it doesn't make sense, I'll say something else. But one thing that I really think about, and actually came in a meditation like 2 years ago or something, is that, I don't know if you know, but, or all of you know here probably knew that most of our body, 70% to 80%, is made of water. And the moon is really what regulates the tide in the ocean, right? When it's full moon and all of that. And so it's obvious that our bodies are also influenced by the moon. And in this case, it doesn't really need to be the moon. It can be a cosmology. It can be, the analogy also serves in events of life, right? Almost like this current of things that happen, right? And I think the letting go is understanding that you can fill your body with 100% of water, if you can sometimes, or 80%, a little bit more than you have. But at a point when the moon tells you, and when the moon gets there, you have to let go, right? So the tide has to go up and down. And when it goes up, there's more water and there's more things there that are really good for you and it's really good for the ocean. But when it goes down and when the tide is low, it's still there, but it looks like it's a little bit different, right? So letting go for me is almost like that. It's just writing that. It's almost like you're changing and you're writing the change without losing, right? Without thinking that you're losing anything because you're changing, right? Everything that you experience accumulates inside of you, and all the memories, and yeah, I think that's how I see it, is that there's change, but that change doesn't mean that it's a loss.
Yeah.
Does it?
When you're experiencing on the tides, you realize that it is a tide.
Yes, and it's not a loss. Exactly, yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah.
But letting go also has made me realize that we underestimate ourselves. And for example, at some stage, I was asked, or the idea came up for me to go from Curacao, which is the Dutch Caribbean island, which is wealthy, which is like the Netherlands, Western European lifestyle and income. I was asked to go to the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, which is also Caribbean, but is a different type of Caribbean and culture. And for the Brahma Kumaris, and to start a meditation center there. And that would mean also that I would not work, because I can't work in the Dominican Republic with my license being European. So I went there without work, without fixed income. Without income, I used to have, and I had very good income as with the work that I was doing, and I would get some money from the center that was supporting the Dominican Republic from Curacao, but was very little money. And the policy of the Brahma Kumaris is we don't fundraise, we don't, the contributions come by those who take benefit. So, and I was there with $1 a day. Of course, this is like 20 years ago. Kind of, little less, and it is in a country that is much less expensive, but still $1 a day would mean you eat rice and eggplant, and that's it, kind of every day. And it was for not only food, it was for everything, your toiletries, and only rent was secured. Someone had donated that. But actually I was fine. I just had to get used to this idea that I cannot just anytime take money from the bank. We can become so fixed in certain ideas, what we believe we need and what life is supposed to be. And when it isn't there, you realize you're actually quite fine. And eating less is not a bad thing. We actually eat too much anyway, most of the time, at least I. and leading us, you don't need 20 outfits, and you don't need 15 shoes. One or two things is enough. So what I'm trying to say, we often underestimate ourselves at what we actually can and are able to do and how we can manage situations. But because we sometimes don't challenge ourselves, we never find out. And I felt so fortunate that I found out that there are many things we can do without. Many things we can do without. And it doesn't diminish our sense of quality of life. Actually, I used to feel so much more light and so much more free also. Living in an environment where there is very little to spend. So I don't have to think too much what to eat, where to eat, when to eat, who, what, where. There is not much to think. This is the amount, this is what you can get, and that's it. So your mind becomes free for other things. Mind becomes free for studies, for meditation, for interactions with others that are meaningful. And I really enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying that working is bad or earning money is bad. I'm not saying that. But we can be so stuck in certain beliefs and certain, boxes, that we don't realize the power and our abilities and our creativity to make do with things. I remember where I stayed initially was a compound where they had rooms, and there was a huge mango tree there. And I discovered there are 20 ways to make mango. Just to give a simple example, with bread, and you have so many different things you can do with mango. And I don't look like I starved at any moment in time in my life. So what I'm trying to say, the art of letting go is, I feel, is mostly internal. My limited beliefs and thoughts about self, about others, that is another thing. We sometimes put others in boxes, and then we never discover their beauty and their broader potential.
Yeah, your story made me think on connecting to what you were saying about the suffering of the world that we all have. And this doesn't mean that because you meditate, you don't go through suffering. Of course, we all do, right? But I think all suffering ultimately is rooted in the relationship that we have with our higher self, which some people call it God, which is fine. But for me, is really our higher self and our versions of our soul, which is ourselves. And that's how I see it. And listening to Rana's story in the Dominican Republic, that was your higher self creating that opportunity for you to experience how to make 20 mangoes, or how to, something else that I'm sure happened in that time that you were there. And I think going also back to your question, the true let go was to develop that relationship with my higher self, and understanding that almost everything that is happening at every moment is aligning with the things that you want or the things that you're meant to experience. And it's so hard because you meditate, at least in my case, 30 minutes in the morning, and you know that, you feel that, but then at 7 p.m. at night, you're so tired, there's so much that's been going on, people have been rude, you've gone through the streets of New York, so you forget about it. So I think really the letting go is just understanding that everything that is happening is already aligned and working out for you. And I do think also we have years and years and years of institutions or people or deciding that relationship with your higher self for you for a long time, which worked back then, right? Does this make sense? And so I think now the real new generation and what people should really focus on is to develop that relationship themselves, to define what that is for you, and not let, because it might work for some people, right, in a Christian way or a Jewish way, whatever. And it's I think we should take wisdom from everybody, but the true relationship is the one that you develop with yourself. And I think the only way to get there is through meditation.
Yeah. Well, this is another area of letting go, is this idea of being human and being, by definition, limited by what human is. And to come to this understanding and experience through meditation that we are spiritual beings, or that I am a spiritual being, playing a human part, and to discover the innate and the divine nature of the real self, the spiritual being. That means you have to let go of all these human beliefs you have about I am a female, or I am mortal, or I am brown-skinned, I am this, or I am... To let go and transcend that, and to come to the awareness, know that the real self innately has divine potential. And I mean, Elle says it in different wordings, but to discover the power and the beauty and the truth of the real self, that was a big letting go. And actually that is ongoing. That is ongoing. Every time you discover some other area again. And but to add in my meditation, and at least this is my experience, innately we are divine, or I am innately a divine being, innately a being with divine potential. Maybe I should frame it like that. And to just open myself up to that, even that possibility, was a big letting go. But deeper in my meditation, like I said, I came from a platform of atheists, but I also resonated to the idea of a supreme soul who never loses that awareness of divinity. And to experience a relationship with that one, or company of that one, it emerges and reinforces my own higher nature. So that was another letting go. I'm atheist. and then to explore that. But I feel it's a beautiful journey. And I like this story. I often tell that story to myself in my mind, of this person hanging on the cliff and the twigs. And you let go and you discover. And often this happens to me. You know, sometimes you have these cyclical thoughts about a certain situation, and then I remind myself, let go of the twigs. and to see something bigger. And of course, my meditations, my experiences through this specific, what is the word? Discipline. Discipline in the sense I do it daily. I was also saying I do it daily. It has become non-negotiable for me. Has helped letting go of many things, and it is so liberating. At least I feel it is liberating.
Yeah, I am editing a documentary right now for the New York Philosophy Club. I'm almost done. I mean, I am done because we have a screening next week, and I've been there so many hours that my brain revolves around the things that are being said. And one of the things that is on there is discussion that we had last year about play. I'm not in it, but I filmed it, so it's 3 people on one side and 3 people on another. And they were defining what play is and what work is, and what are the differences between play and working. And one of the girls said, "Oh, I just think when you play, you're just organically producing. You're not really thinking about the outcome. Whereas in work, you need an outcome. And if you don't have an outcome, you have a consequence." And I think that's also a really beautiful way to put the letting go, because I think the waste thoughts that we were thinking about, or we were talking about earlier, or even the expectations, right, or the letting go, is because we're so stuck, and for good reason, right? Capitalist system tells us that that's how it should be, but that there must always be a consequence, or even a production of our thoughts, right? Or a production of something, or an outcome of
some
that.
Achievement or some outcome.
Some sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if I think the mind can shift, and I think that's why as artists we're so privileged, because we play all day, basically, if you're lucky enough to be an artist all day. And so I think you let go of that expectation a lot more easily. And I think that would be also really interesting to explore. How can the mind sort of flip the switch of like, I don't have to be producing anything. I don't need to have an outcome with this. I can just see
enjoy
where it goes and let it lead the way and see it. And I think if we can do that shift in the mind of our society, a lot will change.
No, very nice. It reminds me of this understanding in the Brahmakumari's philosophy, is that we are made to play. We are actually beings who are playful by nature, but we kind of adopt the idea or the belief. Somehow it creeps in that we have to be serious, and that things are serious, and that things have to be in a certain way, and we lose that. Like a baby naturally plays. Fingers, he plays with fingers. Hair, he plays with hair. Some cockroach come, anything is fun to play with. And if a baby doesn't play, it means he's sick. Something is wrong. But that natural, playful nature, we have lost it. And we have lost the idea that life can be a game. And so but it is the inner being, the spiritual being is the player. And we travel through time and space. And things come, things go, situations are there, but everything becomes easy when it is fun and when it is a game. And everything becomes heavy and stressed, and if it is, like work or so. And we were early on told, actually my grandfather used to say, your work should also be your hobby. But in spirituality, it is not just your work is your hobby. Life is your hobby. You're playing the game of human life. And in a game, there are obstacles. In a game, you can get hurt. In a game, there are all kinds of scenarios. But still, it remains a game. And you use your skills to play the game. Maybe Al can say, and then we can see some comments.
I cannot read. Can you read it for
can
me?
you?
Or, yeah. Sorry.
Just a comment that we received on Zoom. The name is not specified, but I've been an early childhood educator since 2017, and hearing this now summed up my time there.
And the one before that? Oh, is recorded.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have my glasses.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure, I don't know who the person was, but that you, educators are probably the most important people in our, and not necessarily the parents, but the people in our society. I do wish in the future, in the next 20, 30 years, that will be a huge change that we make in the world, because these people are literally almost the foundations of how we play. And, you know, me as an actor, I always feel so lucky and blessed because I learned how you can play and make a money out of it, right? Or make a living out of it, and magnify life in the most beautiful way. But I do think that pushing towards more structures and ways and endeavors for all of us to be able to play, and then it becomes like, what is not play, right? When are we not playing? And I think I go back to being a kid and being not a kindergartner, but because I don't remember anything, but like 4th grade or 3rd grade, the only time that you would be upset that you were not playing is when either someone was blocking what you can do, right? Or was not letting you do what you want to do, or someone was not really in character, or it was not really playing the part of the role. And so maybe also realizing that, oh, that person is in the bad mood. Maybe it's just because he's the angry grandpa in the game today. But tomorrow, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We can be so fixated on how certain things have to be. And the fun goes away then. You lose the spirit of the game. And one of our friends, he used to be a professional soccer player, and he shared one time that his best games were when this professional part was not an issue, when it was really the game and the fun of the game and the joy of the game, and when that was shared as a solidarity amongst both teams. Actually, we love the game and we're playing the game because we love it, and we enjoy and we enhance our skills and we bring out the best and we train, of course, but it is not about the money. And he used to say, actually, when it becomes like, in his case, when the money consciousness became there, it damaged his sense of joy of the game. And that might be one reason why why this spirit of game can be lost when it becomes a commercial thing, and we lose the spirit of game. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we need.
Yeah, it reminds me that through life we want to have control of the outcomes, right? We want to make sure.
That may be the biggest illusion sometimes.
Yeah, and at least for me, letting go was that, letting go of control and accepting that I had no control over outcomes. And I felt the difference felt such a relief,
Mm.
such a sense of freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the you know, the game of life, but the game of life has wisdom in it also. And Al was also sharing. Things happen because there is something deeper, something, there is a secret meaning behind scenes. And sometimes it appears I'm losing control, or I'm out of control, or maybe you don't have control. But there is some force of benevolence that something else will open up, or something deeper needs to be learned, or something higher that situation is pushing me towards. I remember one time there was an opportunity for me. I was in Holland, and there was an opportunity for me to go to Africa for some job opportunities. But somehow it didn't happen. And then there was another opportunity, and I always wanted to do this, what is it, Doctors Without Borders, that kind of work. I always wanted to do. But it didn't work out. And then there was another similar opportunity in northern Pakistan, and I really wanted it to do. But it also, somehow it didn't happen. And you can then feel so disillusioned, your dreams. But if I would have gone there, I would not have come across spirituality. If I would have gone there, my spiritual journey would not have been what it ended up being, for which I am extremely happy. So sometimes certain things appear like a block, but actually it is just a means that something else opens up. And if I'm free to see things like that, then I'm playing the game of life, I think, as it is meant.
Yeah, picking up on what you were saying, it made me think that today I was thinking about intentions and intentionality of life, and how much sometimes when we're offended with someone is because we don't understand their intention. And you were saying, letting go for me was to let go of control, or the outcome, right? Because it's similar to the play analogy that we talked about. But I also think, if there's some determinists here, you might think otherwise of what I'm about to say. But I do think it's important for us to focus on intention, right? Because I think, because the outcome is almost like something you created, right? Or it comes from the intention that you put. And I think if we just have to be careful to the outcome doesn't matter, or what I do doesn't matter, everything is already predetermined, it doesn't really matter, everything is, right? It just can be, to me, it sounds a bit depressing to think that way, or it can induce to some more depressive thoughts. And so I think focusing on the intention, like you said, not on the outcome that you did, but like a good parent, if your kid turns out to be a social murderer, and you really tried everything, I think you really have to focus on, I really tried, and I know I did all of these things, but then the outcome, maybe that's out of my control, but the intention, when you raised that kid, what was your intention? I think that is, does this make sense? A more healthy and perhaps a more uplifting way of looking, because I do hear a lot of people saying, nothing matters, everything. No, it does matter. If it didn't matter, we wouldn't find meaning through relationships, and those things.
No, very good. Not attached to the outcome, but have the intention, have the focus on my intention. Very nice. And that is actually the only thing that might be truly in my hands. outcomes anyway. There are so many other factors. Even as a parent, all your good intentions, that is in your hand, but the child is exposed to so many other things, not only the parent. So that what ultimately comes from that is not in my hand, but what is in my hand is my intention and what I put in it.
Instead of sometimes fixating on like the outcomes of the world, sometimes I just fixate also on just like who I am, and you get very like there's just a lot of self-criticism, or very like hard on yourself, like I should be this and I should be that. I need to be more intelligent. I need to be like kinder. I need to be quicker. I need to move as fast as other people move today. Yeah. There's so many of those thoughts too. But I think the focusing on intention and where you're coming from is, that is a good way to, maybe circumvent some of that. Like I should do this and I should be this. Yeah.
And bringing it back to spiritual knowledge, also. We are all in different stages of a journey. So where I am at in context of my interests, in the context of maybe even my abilities, but also in the context of my karmas and the karmic accounts, may be very different from someone else. And we can't really compare. That is another thing that would be very helpful to let go. Comparing. Because each one has their own journey, but each one is also at maybe different stages of a journey. And
that's also, let me just add, that's also really good, because when we compare, we can only see the outcome. Exactly. We're not looking at the intention. So the comparison in itself is already flawed, because we're not looking at the intention when the outcome was produced by, not always, but a lot of times by the intention. And we should be comparing, if anything, if we should, in the intention. And we never really know. Yeah.
It's becoming quite...
just another... perspective on this that I keep with myself is also like, yes, we talk about letting go, but sometimes we also consider that as something that we need to do after the event has taken place, or in the moment when the event is taking place or the challenge has shown up. But we never think of letting go in a broader sense. You touched upon it in some sense, but for me, one of the indications is also that if I were to reflect now on some past circumstance or event or situation or challenge, which at that point, or maybe up till this time, maybe I've been holding on to and thinking that somehow if it was the other way, it would have been better in that sense, then that is also a sign that I've not truly let go. Because if I've truly let go of that thing, then I would be happy. The moment I would let go, that very moment I would be happy, and I would be happy to be part of the same levels in the game. I would feel even more excited. Oh, the level has shown up again, so let me try this again. So there won't be any trace of sorrow if I've truly let go of that thing.
Very nice. I know time is already past. You want to?
I what you said actually was very visual in my mind for some reason. I could really see almost like an intention in the outcome, and I think it relates to what we're saying completely, because you might really only have control of the intention, and then everything else is just that flow that we've been talking about, and actually trying to think of what comes after that. Might be where we get trapped in the world, and where that suffering comes from, because it's really that, and then when it gets there, you're right, like it's past that. We should not be focused on that. And so I think that was really, really cool to say, like, just focus on the intention. That could be really interesting to explore even deeper.
Yeah, one thing then maybe this would be our last on in meditation and through spiritual wisdom, I have come to understand that there are many unhelpful tendencies that we have created, no? Like a certain arrogance and ego, certain limited perspective of identity, and thereby limiting myself, and feelings of insecurity emerge, which then easily bring attachments and dependencies, or greed, or lust, or anger, or jealousy. And to let go of all these traits that bring sorrow to self and to others, to come back to that awareness of the self as an innately divine being, and that these tendencies are as if acquired and not innate. So to let go of that idea that we are innately flawed, as opposed to the exploring the potential that we may innately be perfect. And perfect sounds a bit presumptuous, but anger-free, sorrow-free. That might be a state of awareness that we can strive for, that we can experience and experiment, and then at least bring down a whole lot of unnecessary sorrow that blocks the game, and that blocks the experience of the game. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say? The play, yeah. Life as a play. And if we can operate from an awareness that we are innately egoless and harmonious beings, benevolent beings, innately loving and peaceful beings, and that we just have to come back to that state again. And then we would be free from a lot of unhelpful things. And we might free others also from unhelpful things in me.
No, it just made me think of being a kid again. So the intention of the game today is to play, I don't know, something like mom and dad and kids.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it goes. If they fight, if they go to the zoo, if they actually all like love each other, it doesn't really matter, right? The intention was all like everybody deciding, what are we playing today? And then we play. And then if you don't want to play anymore, you go and play something else. So yeah, I think I'm going to really take away that, the play and the intention, and then everything else.
Yeah.
Just got to let the tide go. So this is pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, we all here, and thank you, those on Zoom. I wish it could go on, but it can't. It can go on, but not in this format. So maybe we can close with a moment of silence. And of course, everyone is invited to look at our programs. This is an ongoing thing, the Thursdays, Tuesdays also. And each one share with someone else about these activities. And thank you. And have a good Memorial Day weekend, everyone, for the weekend.